Today I want to give you an insight into one of my recent lessons with Jason, who's been struggling with a slice for years, okay? And the lesson was quite eye-opening for him. And we know if we think about a slice, what causes a slice, well, it's generally two factors, okay? Number one factor is that club face is going to be open to some degree, okay? And then secondly, more often than not, you are coming across the ball with that open face and it's slicing off. Now in Jason's case, it was more of a push slice. It wasn't necessarily starting left and fading. It was more just kind of starting straight or even right and then going. And the big thing we worked on was the club face. Okay, now for years, he's been trying to shallow his swing out. He's been trying to get this club coming a bit more inside and shallowing it out, but he was still slicing the golf ball, okay? And with the use of the TrackMan, which is always very useful if you can get access to a launch monitor, we found that actually his path was very good and the face was the issue, okay? So the first thing we looked at was his grip, okay? And again, I'd advise a lot of you that might perhaps have a slice or have a push slice, check the setup first, and in particular the grip. So he had a very weak grip, okay, where the left hand was a long way under the club and the right hand was a long way over the club. So he was in a position here that was really weak, and straight away there from that position, the club face was wide open in that takeaway. So for certain players and for the odd player, it can work, but 99 times out of 100, a weak grip is really no good when it comes to trying to hit a straight shot. So he was very much in this weak position, club face fanning open, and really relying on a lot of rotation, a lot of manipulation, a lot of release to get through the ball to square it up. And ultimately, it's so hard to repeat that, okay? So the first thing was very much sort of simply just making sure when you are making a grip change that club face stays square, and then really trying to get into a position here where we've got two knuckles visible on that lead hand. Maybe even a little bit of your third isn't a bad thing. Going a little bit stronger if you do slice it is not a bad thing at all. And then the V here between the thumb and forefinger pointing up to your right shoulder, okay? If anything, he was over towards his left shoulder. Just by having that visual just really helps get a feeling as you're sort of looking down, okay? And then right hand, I always say, the right hand represents the same angle as the club face, okay? So it very much wants to be in this position here and then on, okay? And we actually felt with Jason that his forearm was facing out, okay, facing towards that camera. That really allowed him to get into a position here at setup that was going to give him a slightly stronger grip, certainly a more neutral grip, that was going to naturally square that club face off as he came into the golf ball. And I must say, almost immediately we started to see some straighter ball flights, okay? But he was still leaking it a little bit, okay? And the next part really, in a perfect lesson, one swing change is really what we're looking for, but it needed a bit more encouragement, okay? And as I said, his swing playing was good, aesthetically it looked pretty good. And then, from sort of halfway down to halfway through, his release was very poor, okay? And he actually had no release, okay? And we see this a lot in golfers where the lead arm gets very high, trail arm doesn't rotate, doesn't release, and this club just gets wide open, okay? So we did a lot of work sort of halfway down to halfway through, just getting the feel of the release, okay? Essentially feeling like, if we look at the toe of the club there, into impact, and then releasing it on the way through. And again, this setup position really helped him by having that palm open in that stronger grip, just allowed him to feel that the sort of trail hand was going down on the downswing. So he's very much feeling like he's coming down here, really trying to get into a stronger position on the downswing with that club face, not letting it get too far open, getting into a stronger position here, and then naturally releasing it. And we see a lot of the top players, most of the top players in this release position where the right arm is released over the left, the toe of the club is pointing up, and that gives us that nice full release and a much straighter shot. And for Jason and for most guys I teach, most girls I teach, I'd actually would like to see you overdo it. You know, if you've had a slice all your life, then actually any change you make to fixing that club face, don't be afraid to overdo it. So even if he released it too much or had a stronger grip than normal, even if he sent it left, I actually quite like that, because you can always come back a little bit. So into position, getting that neutral to strong grip, getting that nice natural release through the golf ball, and we get a pretty straight drive. Hope you found that useful, guys. A little bit of an insight into one of my recent lessons, and I think it'll apply for many of you out there that do slice the golf ball. Fix the club face first. As always, if you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Post any comments down below. Look forward to seeing you again very soon.